And there we are. Welcome you guys to game number 1 in the series, the Viper versus Vinchester. I do need to fix this though. There we are. And we'll probably switch colors because Vinchester's playing purple. We're gonna make him blue. We're gonna make the Viper red. So it's a little bit easier to see the players, especially when they are, you know, on sandy terrain over here. Yellow is kind of difficult to see. What do we get then for these guys? Starting with Vinchester, he's gonna play with Italians, which means he gets 20% cheaper gunpowder units. He gets a 15% discount to go up to the next stage. He gets a 15% discount on fish and ships. And then in addition to that, we also see for Italians a 33% discount on docks and university upgrades, while for the team bonus, they're gonna have, in addition to all that, access to condottieri from the barracks and the Imperial Age. One of the strongest civilizations to go for in a map like this, for sure. And, you know, the Viper, playing with Byzantines instead, will get 25% cheaper skirm, spear, camel rider units. It gets 25% faster attacking fire line ships, as well as free town watch, free town patrol. 10, 20, 30, and 40% extra HP on buildings in the Dark Field Castle and Imperial Ages. That's going to be it for the most part for Byzantines. So yes. Hey Shantini! Hi! Did I see you join the Discord yesterday or the day before yesterday? Could it be? It seems to me like you did. But I'm not really sure because the person who joined was... Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. It had the yes as opposed to the C. Nice! Alright. The Discord server I'm going to start using very soon to make events for each stream, so that you know when I am streaming next. For the time being, not so much though. Anyway, we talked about the civilizations, and let's take a look at the map generation over here for both these guys. Starting with Vinchester, this is going to be a pretty slow start because of the nature of the map, because we have both land and water to take, you know, to take care of. This is going to require at the very least like 40 workers before the players even go out to the field age, because it's going to be fast castle, but it takes some time for your investment on water economy to pay off. So it's going to be a little bit slower compared to full land. Taking a look at the map generation then for Vinchester, he's got a goal on the back over here on the left hand side, which is great. He's got another goal on the back over here, a stone on the back over here. The thing with these two though is that these are kind of exposed to water. This one is though the goal. The stone, not so much. So the stone's gonna be fine. Besides that, he's got a stone on the left hand side as well. And taking a look at the other side for Vinchester, he's got a very close goal actually on the left hand side. Stone 2, although this one is kind of forward. And then on the right hand side, this gold over here is going to be kind of exposed to the water as well, so not the best. And the stone over here, you know, this one, this stone, this gold. These resources will be all of these exposed to water, so that is not great. Meanwhile, taking a look at the Viper's map generation instead, and starting on the left hand side, let's see if the red players got the map hacks over here at hand or not. Well, from the get-go, actually, it does not seem like it's the case. I mean, take a look at this gold. This is an awful, awful gold for the Viper. It's forward, and it's basically embedded into the wood. So it wouldn't be too difficult for, let's say, the blue player to maybe try and go for something like a tower over here and just push the Viper away from both the gold, right? And the wood, all this. And then in addition to that, I don't see any extra golds for the Viper actually over here. This one is super forward, and then the stone, he's got one on the left hand side. We have a stone kind of forward for the Viper. And taking a look at his map generation on the right hand side instead, what do we get? We'll see. Hey Varian, hi. We'll see on the right hand side, the Viper's got a gold 4. So yeah, the map generation over here for the Viper is pretty precarious, not gonna lie. The golds are awful on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side they are even worse. The stone is forward. Most of the stone is forward. I think all the stone is forward over here for the Viper. Damn, man, this is an awful base. All of this is facing Vinchester. Damn, boy. What is this gold? The Viper's trying to take advantage of it. I mean, sure. At the very least, it's got enough bases exposed that he can actually take with as many villages as he needs from it. But maybe it could be an option to join the Discord after this long time. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna be advertising the Discord on my stream a lot more in the future, as well as my YouTube channel as well, and the Instagram and TikTok accounts too, and everything. For sure. It's actually on the to-do list, but not the highest priority right now. I don't know why both this tournament and Warlords have such terrible maps. They're unfair so often. Well, it's pretty difficult to make maps that are balanced every time. And especially on double TC start, usually the chances are much lower that one of the players is going to have two maps that are so much better compared to the other players' maps. But this is one of those instances. I would say that this is not the norm though. I would say probably this is more like the exception. Nice villager pick over here though from the Viper. He's gotten 2 villages down so far, and it seems like he might end up getting a 3rd village down. As Vinchester is not paying attention over here, that's going to be another villager down the ground from the Bull player. And what is Vinchester paying attention to instead? He's paying attention to water, where the Viper's also putting pressure. There we go. That's in general difficult, but we've been doing it as a community much better for a while. I think for tournaments with very large map pools, it's a little bit harder to keep everything up to the same standards. So it's kind of a trade-off. You have more variety, but at the same time, it's harder to keep the maps, you know, the best they can be. For instance, if you had something like Healing Cup, what did it have? Like 9 maps? Something like that? Something very small. And now Warlords, it's got 21 maps, I think. And then this one, Double Cup, it's got like 35 maps or so. When you take into account the fact that many map scripters sometimes spend, you know, weeks, like, consistently working on maps to make them as fair as you're used to seeing them in some of the lower map count S-tier tournaments, I think that's probably why these 2 tournaments in specific might be a little bit behind in that regard. That is a nice shot though from Vinchester. Well done. Nice. Yeah, there isn't quite as much time to test, and even if you test from a scripter's point of view, if you test it yourself, that doesn't guarantee that the map is going to come up, you know, good every time for the players. So you don't have quite as much play testing for the maps from pro players or from other people to get a larger sample size and see what the issues could potentially be, I guess. Especially because the scenario editor is not too accurate sometimes, and you really need to actually start games to see what the map actually generates like outside the editor. Man, nice push over here. The Viper ends up getting full. What a control at the center. It's not even close. Even if Vinchester ended up getting some good shots, in the end, the Viper's looking very good. He's got enough resources to click out to the castle age as well, while Vinchester on the other hand not so much. Even with the discount that Italians get, Vinchester's been struggling to keep up. And that comes from a higher worker count for the Viper, from a higher worker kill rate over here ratio for the Viper compared to Vinchester. And the red player is going to be in the castle age sometime soon, while Vinchester on the other hand doesn't seem like he's going to be able to click up anytime soon. It doesn't seem like castle age is even on the horizon for Vinchester. You take a look at this economy, even if he completely abused the market, he wouldn't be able to get anywhere near enough to go up. And because he's going so heavily into Navy production, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to save the resources to click up. There we go. Now Vinchester finally managed to get enough units out to push the Viper away. The Viper, on the other hand, is not gonna feel tempted to take the engagement over here, obviously, as Vinchester's navy count is so much higher. He's gonna wait until he gets to the castle edge to go for the war galley upgrade, because he's going for some demolition rafts over here. Those are gonna become demolition ships. He's got plenty of fire galleys. Those are going to become fire ships. Because he's playing with Byzantines, that's going to be 25% faster attacking fire ships. And because Vinchester is still 2 minutes and 15 seconds away from the castle age, the Viper should have a chance to get water back over here. Although it seems like he's going to try to make a play for land by going for some knights on the right hand side. While going for the 30C as well. The Viper's going for a little bit of everything. It's going to be pretty difficult to keep up. 20 seconds for the war galley upgrade. He's got already knights on the way. With the 30C, he's going to try to keep his production going for villagers too. And yeah, once again, pretty darn difficult to keep everything going. I would expect Vinchester to be probably the player to end up getting water control over here because of the civilization he's got and because how much he's been prioritizing water control. If you take a look at the amount of navy he's got queued up, it's amazing. Well, the Viper going for the extra TC and the fact that he was not really relying on fishing ships for his economy anyway will make a play for full land. So he's most likely not gonna keep on with navy production quite as much as Vinchester, and instead he's just gonna try to make the play for the knights. And take a look at this, the knights are coming over now. The Viper could already have targeted the stone miners over there, but he's gonna go after the gold miners. Not by the looks of it. Okay, now he goes, and he's got knights down the south. Although Vinchester's reaction over here is swift and appropriate, he gets the quick walls up on time, and the Viper definitely could have gotten a lot of damage down over here. But in the end, might end up doing some damage anyway, though, with the knights over there targeting the stone miners regardless of the quick walls from Vinchester. Many of the units are exposed still, and that's going to be one villager going down. Make that 2 villagers going down from Vinchester. Very likely to end up losing at the very least 3 villages and make that actually about 4 villagers. 4 villagers dead already from Vinchester. Now, the Viper realizes about the castle coming up over here is not going to actually have enough line of sight. So Vinchester might end up getting away with the castle over here, and the Viper is not really paying attention to the knights too much. Now, can he see the castle? Still can't. You see, and people laugh about the team bonus for Franks. This would actually not be a thing against Franks because they would see the castle foundation. And now Viper's got no idea the castle's coming up, and Vinchester will be able to stabilize on land because of it. Water, on the other hand, though, still looking very much so in favor of the Viper, despite the fact that Vinchester seemed to be focusing on navy creation much more so compared to the Viper. The 25% faster attack rate for Viper's units over here is just too strong for Vinchester to hold on against, and Viper seems to be getting water control. He's going for a stable on the left-hand side forward to put pressure against Vinchester, who doesn't really have too much to defend himself with over here. And as a matter of fact, Vinchester's economy over here is a disaster. What is this? And then down south, the Viper gets trapped a little bit, but you know, if he kept on going after the house, he might have been able to breach through. Anyway, oh, it's open! It's open, I think, isn't it? A villager just went down over there. I think Vinchester maybe trapped. Yeah, I think he maybe trapped a villager by accident, and in the end the Viper will end up getting cleaned up over here. But that's a lot of time to pay attention to this area for Vinchester to clean up a very small amount of units. And the Viper, he is on his way to the Imperial Age. What is this? What? Damn, boy. It was looking strong. Holy crap. I don't know about any of this. Vinchester doesn't seem like he'll be able to hold on once the Viper gets to the Imperial Age, especially as the Viper already has a resource to go for a castle. Now what I'm wondering, I think what Viper's trying to evaluate as well, is where does he go for the castle? He's got 2 TCs on the right hand side and he was the one putting pressure, so I would say he doesn't need a castle on the right hand side. But of course, getting to the Imperial Age earlier and getting a castle on the right hand side means that the Viper would be able to go for a... He would be able to go for a trebuchet, right? So he's going for the castle over here. It's not bad. He's got 15 stone miners, so he could potentially go for another castle in the future as well. Most likely we would see that one coming up on the left hand side. Vinchester's got some Genoese crossbows. He pushes the Viper away from the right hand side for the time being. Now the skirmishers over here from the Viper give him enough time to potentially get the castle up. Hey Weniger! Hi, welcome. Welcome back, hope you're doing alright. Everything's going well for you. As the Viper gets almost enough resources to go for another castle, I am expecting... Wow! I was not expecting Vinchester to call the GG right there, but the Viper takes game number 1, 27 minutes into it. As soon as he gets to the Imperial Age, overwhelms Vinchester and prompts him to call the GG. So the Viper's gonna be up 1-0 against the Russian player. This is really interesting. Yeah, take a look at this. For military then, we have a very nice KD for the Viper. In the end, he ends up getting a better than 3-to-2 KD ratio against Vinchester with an economy that is stronger for the Viper as well. Then for society, yeah, we'll see a higher worker max count for the Viper, and he just dominated this game. Well done. And there we are. Welcome you guys. Let's switch colors once again. Vinchester in the blue, the Viper in the red. Gonna get towards the southwest. Vinchester playing with Byzantines this time around, and the Viper's playing with Portuguese, so he could have made a play for Italians over here, but he's got Portuguese. Interesting. And thank you for all the follows, guys. Those of you coming into the stream for the first time, I hope you're enjoying so far the content. I hope you are enjoying Double Cup 3 if you've been watching this tournament for the first time here, perhaps, and I hope you've been enjoying my coverage of Warlords as well. Remember that tomorrow I'll be co-casting Warlords with Memb. So if you would like to see some of that, absolutely do tune in. 16 GMT onwards. For these civilizations, Vinchester will get with Byzantines first off 25% cheaper skirm, spear, and camel rider units. Besides that, we also see for Vinchester Civilization 10, 20, 30, and 40% extra HP on buildings in the Dark Feudal Castle and Imperial Ages, as well as free town watch, free town patrol, 25% faster attacking fireline ships. Here we go. For the team bonus, monks do heal units faster. While the Viper, on the other hand, playing with Portuguese, gets a 20% gold discount on military units, so Navy is going to be cheaper for him. And then in addition to that, Navy also gets 10% extra HP for Portuguese. He gets faster research and upgrades, as well as access to Fatery, and that's going to be for the most part what's important for the Viper civilization, given the team bonuses for team games for the most part. Was this a water tower map? Yes! Hey Rami! Hi, welcome. Wild 69 viewers. Nice. So, yeah, this is the map where you can build sea towers. For anybody who might not be familiar with this map, it's a custom one for Double Cup 3. I believe this one, I don't remember this one got submitted for the RMS Cup 2. I don't personally remember. Yeah, but it's got a very cool mechanic. You can build sea towers for very cheap. As a matter of fact, it's going to be only 25 wood and 25 stone. And they are super strong. They are like standard towers. They have pretty good range. They have bonus damage against ships. So it's fantastic. I wish I could remember all the things you tell about the civilizations. Well, I mean, I do it every day. Well, not every day, but I do it like, what, 4 times a week. Been doing it for a few years. You would probably also remember it if you did it quite as much. But yeah, you can also just take a look at the civilization summary when you just hover over the civilization emblem in the game. So you don't need to remember that. You don't need to be a pleb like me and actually memorize all of these things. You can just use the tools that the game provides to you, and that's the greatest equalizer there is for the game. We're already getting to 30 workers or so for both these guys. We'll see both players go up to the fuel age, probably on about 40 workers or so. I would expect the guys to try and make a play for a somewhat fast castle over here, although I was expecting that to be the case in the previous game, and in the end the guys went for a pretty sustained feudal brawl, so to say. So we'll see what we get here. I would be expecting Portuguese to do a little bit better, especially if you can get a good amount of galleys. That's one thing that this map specifically is going to make a little bit easier, I think. Why? Because the players are very far away from each other. So let's say that we get some docks over here for the Viper, some docks over here, then he starts going for galleys. By the time Vinchester gets fire galleys forward and finds where Viper's units are, Viper should already be able to get to at the very least 5 galleys or so. And standard galleys will still be so much stronger compared to fire galleys. You just need to get a good amount of units. And we are getting close to it, guys. We're on 40 workers. The Viper is clicking out to the fuel age already, and Vinchester is on 42 workers. 44 population. He'll be on his way to the fuel age very soon. And who's gonna be the first one to make use of the transport ship? So far, the guys have been using these just for scouting. But Vinchester is bringing 2 villages forward, though. This could be good. Alright, so he's getting the villagers over here. We're gonna see sea towers come up. As he gets up, for the time being, is he going to go for... Oh no, he can't go for it right away. This is my bad. I thought for some reason that you only get access to this in the fuel age, but that's not true. That's for standard watchtowers. Sea towers you can build from the dark age. So no wonder. Yeah, Vinchester is gonna try and take advantage of this right away. And notice this goes up pretty quickly as well from a single villager. I think this builds faster than a watchtower. Check this out. More sea towers coming up. Vinchester is prepared. Vinchester is prepared. And this is one thing that I absolutely love from the blue player in this matchup. And in any matchup, Vinchester is usually going to be the player to take the time to prepare for his tournament series, even if it's for a $500 tournament. Vinchester was the first player, I think, that I saw on this map actually make use of this. Go figure. And the Viper, I'm not really sure the Viper is even aware of the possibility of going for sea towers. He's got standard galleys on the way, so we'll see what I was expecting to see from the Viper. And Vinchester will be on his way to the castle age, so it's not going to be sustained feudal aggression from any of these players. And in the end, the towers are coming up, so that's a beautiful position for Vinchester. These towers basically prevent the Viper from getting to the center from the north, and he will only be able to roam around to the side. So the Viper would still be able to go for this gold, for instance, or potentially even this gold, but wouldn't really be able to go and collect wood from here, wouldn't be able to collect wood from here, wouldn't be able to transport units over to the center without risking losing the transport ship, for instance, or taking more damage, or taking some damage from Vinchester's units. And as expected, the blue player is going for fire galleys, and he'll start putting pressure. The Viper's galleys are nowhere to be seen. He's got the only one on the left-hand side, and Vinchester did a really good job going for the forward dock so that he does not need to account for the distance between both players' starting locations. The both players will go out to the castle age at about the same time as well, but I was expecting Vinchester to be the first one to click up. He doesn't have the buildings. And the Viper's got one of the buildings. He's going for the market now so that he can click up as well. And Vinchester, he's got the blacksmith on the way on the left-hand side. And he doesn't have a market yet. He doesn't have a stable or anything else, so he needs to go for one more building before he clicks up. But it shouldn't be too big of a difference between both these guys. Probably going to end up being a 25-second lead for the Viper, so not too much, right? Yeah, there we go. Market's coming up from 4 villagers for Vinchester. And should be on his way to the Castle H in a moment. He is struggling a little bit too much, though. It will result in a stronger lead for the Viper than I was expecting. 28 seconds faster for the Viper. Ends up cleaning up the fire galley from Vinchester over here, and yeah, that'll be about it. Nice. So far, so good. Viper is getting away with a galley unit choice, as we have already gotten past the 5 or so standard galleys that it takes for this unit to counter fire galleys. And the Viper is taking the units down from Vinchester, and good unit control over there. He garrisons the villagers just in time. He's going for the first sea tower, but he's going for a very purposeful, he's going for a very purposeful tower over here to protect the gold. He's not going to try to get map control like Vinchester was doing over here. He's just trying to go for the bare minimum, what he needs, just to keep his plan going, just to keep his gold miners working over here, right? So he's not spending quite as many resources. So there we go. Castle H is here for the Viper. Castle H will be here for Vinchester in about 20 seconds. Fantastic. There we go. War Galley upgrade's gonna be here for the Viper. He's got War Galleys. Vinchester is going for the War Galley upgrade. It's gonna have fire ships. And I would say from this point onwards, so long as Viper keeps paying attention to his units, it's very unlikely Vinchester will be able to get good trades. Oh, and the transportation with 4 villages! It goes down! Oh, Lord, that's gonna be so painful for Vinchester! He was sailing away. Set an open course for the virgin seas. Well, they weren't so virgin. The Viper was there earlier, so yeah, that was very unlucky for Vinchester. At the center, he's trying to get the TC up. And then the game's starting to get a little bit too hectic to be able to keep track of everything easily. So we have pressure on the left-hand side from Vinchester. We have engagements on the right-hand side. Viper's fire ships over there against the war galleys. Holy crap, though. Hold on. What is that? There's a lot of stuttering. Give me a second. I think OBS might be acting up here. Sometimes it does this. The new version, the version 28, does this thing where it just decides to whore the GPU, and it just completely makes everything else unusable. But there we go. It stopped. Beautiful. Down the south, the Viper. Yeah, I should be able to take care of these units. Ah, but Vinchester's bringing some extra fire ships, so he'll end up cleaning this up. This is really good for Vinchester. Viper just gives up on the units he knows. There is no way back over here. And then on the right hand side, he's been trying to mass a second navy to start putting some pressure with very soon. But Vinchester's looking really good. He's got a comparable amount of workers despite the fact that he took the most losses. He's got a much larger navy count despite the fact that the Viper gets a gold discount on the units, despite the fact that the Viper gets extra HP on the units as well. So far, Vinchester has been able to keep up over here when everything seemed to point out at the Viper civilization being better suited. But let's take a look at this. That's a lot of fire ships coming up. Now the Viper's going to get surrounded, and it seems like he's not even trying to go up in the north. Usually, the war galleys do not get affected by a surround of fire ships over here quite as much compared to I always compare this to archers and knights because they do have just as much mobility. So the Viper could have tried to go up in the north. He could have tried to break away from the units from Vinchester, but he ended up just siloing over there and he lost all the units. Now military count is significantly higher for Vinchester, almost 4-to-1 military ratio. Just too short of it. The Viper will. I mean, what can he really do? He's got just 2 TCs he's producing villagers from, but he's got no water presence. Without water presence, he cannot transport the villagers. Without transporting the villagers, he will not be able to keep on collecting resources anymore in the future. So it seems like the Viper is kind of stuck over here. And he'll try to make one last play to retake water, or at the very least try and contest it again. But in all honesty, it does not seem to me like the Viper will be able to come back on water over here anymore. Yeah, and Vinchester does have the tower positions to fall back to, for sure. That's terrible. The Viper ends up losing a villager over there to the fire ship, and so far it's not really looked the best. He managed to get enough resources to click up to the Imperial Age, which will be good. I guess he can make a play for fast fire ships. But it's gonna be difficult, man. The Viper is going up very soon, but he's gonna run out of resources very soon as well. Like, for instance, he does not have any wood anymore up in the north. And then on the right hand side, he's running out of wood. So without water presence to try and collect wood from one of the neutral islands, the Viper, simply put, will not be able to do anything. He's stuck up in the north. He doesn't even have a dock over here anymore. The only transport ship we have from the Viper, he's gonna try and utilize on the right hand side to try and transport some units over to the center, but because we have sea towers over here, it's unlikely the Viper will be able to get away with much of anything. So Vinchester's looking great. He might end up taking... Oh, the village is down over there. The Viper lands the villages just in time. He's trying to get a castle at the center, and we see Byzantine cataphracts coming in. And the Viper just calls it GG because, I mean, come on, right? What do you do after this position? You cannot really do much of anything. So understandably, Vinchester equalizes the series over here. We have 1-to-1. Let's go through the achievements. And what do we get over here? We're going to see for military a better KD for Vinchester. Approaching a 4-to-3 KD ratio. Meanwhile, for economy, we have a stronger economy for the Viper, collecting only about 93 extra resources. Not enough, of course, to compensate for the less than ideal KD. And then for society, we have a higher worker max count for Vinchester, but also a higher worker count towards the end, as the Viper ended up losing about 6 villages over here, and so did Vinchester. Because Vinchester did go for more units in the end anyway. He was just left on a higher worker count, but it was not really defined by who took the most villagers or fishing ships over here. It was mostly about strategizing. From very early on, we saw, you know, Vinchester try and take advantage of the sea towers to try and get water control. These ones on the left-hand side already gave him so much map control. If you take a look at the range of these towers, they kind of created a very nice pocket of damage over here for Vinchester that the Viper could not really approach. Took some time, but he ended up expanding that over to the right-hand side as well. And then, you know, after pushing the Viper out of water, there was no way back for the red player into this game. So well done! Let's pause this until OBS stops acting up. Okay, seems fine now. NTC star win? Let's go! So welcome you guys then to game number 3. Vinchester with Hindustanis will be facing the Viper, who's playing with Lithuanians for this one. And this is a truly special map. For anyone who might not be familiar with the tournament and who might not have been following along, 4 quarters is the map with the most TCs in this tournament. And I think this is the map with the most TC stars that I have seen ever, period. It's gonna consist of 4 quarters, go figure, where each player begins with 1 TC in each quarter. So on the right hand side, we're gonna see the Viper with a TC over here and Vinchester with a TC over here. That's gonna be the case on the left hand side, up in the north and down the south as well. But in addition to the 4 TCs, each quadrant is going to have a different amount of resources, a different type of resources available as well. So up in the north, for instance, there's plenty of hunting and plenty of, you would say, natural resources, land food for the players with berries, deer, as well as boars and sheep as well. And we have some gold. That's going to be the case in all quadrants. Players will begin with some starting gold. So on the right hand side, we have a pure gold quadrant, where gold is the only thing that you have access to besides the vine and wood. And then down south, you're going to start with some gold as well, but this one is going to have, for the most part, fish and some wood. But for the most part, it's going to be fish. And it's not just any fish, it's deep fish. So this will be absolutely fantastic for economy. On the left hand, especially for fish and chips as well. On the left hand side, the Viper and the Vinchester will have plenty of stone over here, but as is the case in all quadrants, a little bit of starting gold in addition to the stone, but then besides the starting gold, it's just going to be stone, right? For the most part, stone and the vine and wood. So there's a lot to pay attention to. However, because the players will collect food from deep fish down the south, and then in the east and in the west, there isn't too much to pay attention to in terms of food income. The players will actually have a little bit of an easier time on this map trying to lure the resources underneath the TCs, or trying to lure the boars underneath the TCs, compared to double or triple TC starts, where each TC is going to be surrounded by boars as well. Hey! I was attacked by a monkey, long time no siege! This will literally break me. I can barely keep one TC running. Can you? That's good for you, man. A lot of people can't keep one TC running. That'll be me, by the way. This team game would be interesting to listen to. Team game? You mean as if we have 4 players per team with 1 player starting in each quadrant? It'll be interesting to listen to. Yeah, I imagine you're probably talking about comms, the team comms, right? Anyway, 4-2. Yeah, 2 could also work as well. There's certainly potential for it. So, what to expect? We have seen this map already a few times. I think probably the earliest aggression we'll see will come from the south, as players will go up to the Fuel H, and we'll most likely see, for instance, the blue player go for demolition rafts over here, trying to find some exposed economy, right? And then, BAM! Try to go after the red player. The same situation can also happen, right, from the red player, although we do not see a dog coming out from the Viper just yet. Let's assume that he goes for one like over here. He could potentially go forward as well. Just try to find some exposed villagers, and bam! That is usually what we see for aggression early on in this map. Once we get to the Castle Age, we'll most likely see some knights from Lithuania, some camels from Hindustanis come up from the north. We'll see players try to put pressure from here. It's very open. There's plenty of incentive for the players to go out into the open over here because of the extra hunting. So this is going to be, I would say, probably the second most exposed quadrant. Meanwhile, the left and right hand sides, players are usually not going to be putting too much pressure, as is when military units... Oh, it seems like the Viper is getting very close to losing a villager over here. He paid attention though. And he will end up taking the villager into the TC, I think. Wait. What? Game over? Oh, crap. FML. I forgot to switch branches, so I cannot really spectate record the games. Hold on. What is this? 7 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. Give me a second. This is on me. I completely forgot that I needed to switch the branches. I needed to switch game versions to record the games. One moment. It's not going to take too long, and we were only 7 minutes and 30 seconds into it, so it's fine. Would have been much worse if I realized about it 50 minutes into the game. Freaking broken Rex. Yeah. So, just one moment, just one moment. I have a branch for this. For content creators to be able to spectate these recorded games. This fix is eventually going to come to the public, but for the time being, it's early access. Is a win for chat? Okay, there we go. The game's in the correct version now, hopefully. Sorry about that once again, and we'll just fast forward. $750. We were $750 into the game. Man, good thing that we were able to cast the first two. I hadn't realized that I was in the wrong version. But yeah, we know that the first two we cast till the end because we saw the GGs. Otherwise, I would start worrying right now. Okay, there we go. Wait, what? What the heck? Come on. Let's just fast forward and try to catch up. Seven minutes 50. I think the players were going out to the fuel H already, right? One thing we're noting about quadruple TC start as well is the fact that it takes a little bit longer to get going because it's very hard to get your economy in shape so that you can actually support production from all 4 TCs. But once you do, you get to much... you get to much stronger economies much earlier, of course, and we'll see most likely be the case in this game that about 10 minutes into the game or so, the players will already be close to like 100 population or so because of the quadruple start. So we're catching up, we're catching up. $750 was the count, right? Vinchester was going for some outposts over there. Okay. There we go. And this is where we were left off. So, the Viper was risking losing a villager over here, but it seems to me like he's going to get the board. So let's continue in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Yeah, well done. Good in control. The Viper gets the other board down. To continue on my thought from before, we'll usually see some pressure come up from the south from demolition rafts because it's pretty easy. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit over here, and then we're gonna get some aggression coming up from the north once the players get to the castle age. From that point onwards, and you can see the players already start to collect stone quite heavily, we'll most likely see castles come up in the north, potentially in the north, but for the most part we're gonna see castles come up in the east and in the west. So we could see over here, for instance, from who's collecting the most stone right now. So Vinchester's got the most stone, right? So we could very well end up seeing Vinchester go for a forward castle over here. He manages to get enough resources to go for it. And to push the Viper away from these resources, that'll be great for Vinchester, of course. No gold access for the Viper would be fantastic. So the Viper will only be kind of left to however much gold he had available for the starting goal on the other quadrants. And yeah, on the left hand side, usually when somebody goes for a castle on the right hand side, the other player goes for a castle on the left hand side, and they kind of trade places. They kind of trade quarters. This is not live, no. This game took place, I think, about 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. 2 days ago or yesterday. If you would like to watch Viper's point of view or Vinchester's perhaps, you're gonna have to check the bot. But as we get to the PLH already, take a look at that. We are 10 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. Vinchester is already on over 100 population, and the Viper is coming over with the demolition raft over there. This could be a very good shot. He's gonna try to, and that is a good shot. Probably not quite as good as I was expecting it to be, but still, he ends up taking 3 fishing ships down over there. With 2 demolition rafts is not too bad. And Vinchester is only now going for the docks though. He's got demolition rafts coming up, in addition to the fire galleys. I'll tell you one thing though, it's gotta be extremely hard from the player's point of view to keep up with everything that's taking place. Let's take a look. The Viper's going after the lumberjacks, and oh, that is so close. Ah, he gets 2 villages. That could have been so much more though. So much more. Hot damn. We do not really have any counter pushes from Vinchester with his own demo rafts. He's got the one on the right hand side, but because the Viper's already completely walled himself up, Vinchester cannot do anything. The only way that he'll be able to come in over here would be by using a couple demolition rafts to breach through the palisades over here, potentially even the fire galleys, right? And then send the units in, but because Viper already has towers over here to defend himself, it doesn't seem like Vinchester will be able to do too much damage. The blue player is the first one to go up to the Castle H though, or at the very least the first one to click up to the Castle H, and the Viper should be on his way very soon. Red player is the only player with a demolition raft left over here to potentially get some good damage, and this is a very juicy spot. This is a very juicy spot on the Viper! Bang! Gets 3 additional villages over there. I think he might have been able to get some extra picks if he took an extra second or two over there, but it was coming to a risk, of course, as Vinchester could have realized and he could have tried to scatter the villagers up. In the end, the Viper's going up to the Castle Edge, and he does have about 7 extra workers. We'll see in the end an 8-2 or 4-1 equal KD ratio favoring the Viper for sure. But Vinchester went up to the Castle Edge so much earlier, so it doesn't seem like the Viper really got away with too much of anything over here. You take a look at the idle TC time, and it's very high for both these guys. Let's see if Vinchester can get any damage done over here. It's unlikely. The towers are getting, rid of the demolition raft. Left hand side, Vinchester is going for the castle forward over here, so he's gonna try to secure stone control, and then he can go for extra castles from that point onwards. Meanwhile, on the right hand side, there is no basically castle drop coming up from anyone, although it seems like Vinchester is gonna try to also castle drop the Viper on the right hand side, so he's trying to go for a double whammy push over here. A split push of sorts. Here we go. Well, the Viper does have the resources to go for the castle. He's still on the fuel age and only now gets to the castle age. So the moment he gets to the castle age, the moment he drops a counter castle over here to try and hold on against Vinchester, and this is most likely not going to result in a petard war, I would assume. Vinchester, of course, and maybe even the Viper. Wow, Vinchester just bails from here. I really think... Okay, so the blue player is going for the castle further back. I really think it would have been possible for Vinchester to get the castle up over there. Right? To get the castle up over here. I think it would have been possible for Vinchester to then go for a siege workshop on the back and then just try to make a push with them, petards and rams, right? But in the end, he just bails. I think he was probably expecting the Viper to get the castle up significantly earlier. I don't think that would have been the case. Still, on the right-hand side, Vinchester will be the one putting pressure for the most part, as he's got the one forward castle over here, and Viper's gonna be defensive. And then on the left-hand side, it's gonna be a pretty similar situation as well, with Vinchester's castle being the only forward one, and the Viper being a defensive castle over here. So Gulam on the way for Vinchester. Laichai on the way for the Viper. Then down the south, still Vinchester putting pressure over here. Now that he's got the war galley upgrade and these are fire ships, he'll end up taking the TC down most likely. He'll most likely end up taking the villagers down as well. And this is a beautiful position for Vinchester. The Viper's struggling big time. Another castle up in the north from Vinchester still. That's going to be the third castle for him. The Viper is only on 2 and doesn't seem to have quite the resources to go for a third castle himself. As a matter of fact, he's not even collecting stone that heavily in Vinchester. Vinchester's just gonna keep on trying to put pressure over here. It seems to be the way to go on this map, right? Just go for full castle pressure. Just keep on going for more and more castles, because your opponent, what are they going to do realistically? Until they are able to get to the Imperial Age, they're gonna go for anything to take your castle down. And because you cannot really afford to go for too much military on such a hectic game with 4 bases, individual bases, the castles are going to be the best. I guess it's going to be probably the most bang for the buck overall. 650 extra resources and a pretty hard to remove fortification that will give you map control, that will remove control from your opponent as well. Yeah, and the Viper is under a lot of pressure. He ends up losing access to, or not really access to, but he ends up losing kind of control of the south quarter. I guess technically this is still somewhat safe, but it shouldn't be the case for much longer if Vinchester went for a few war galleys, for instance, or if he went for a castle forward over here, right? We could very well see the blue player go for a castle around here himself, and that'll be enough for him to take everything down. Towers, villagers, push everything. So what do we see instead? We see Vinchester actually go for another castle up in the north. I'm not really sure what this one is going to achieve for him. I guess he'll push the Viper away from this gold. The Viper should still have access to gold on the left-hand side, and then the right-hand side still. Got the cast coming up for the Viper. Vinchester is looking great, guys. Higher population, both for economy and for military, and the Viper, not so much. Yeah, Vinchester once again does not seem too confident in his ability to get the castle up. I think the castle would have been able to come up, especially as he's the one putting pressure with the Gulam. You know, might end up taking many of the villages down over here and preventing the Viper from really having a villager lead and trying to get the castle up. Imperialist is on the way for Vinchester. The Viper's going for chain bar than armor instead. Nice raids on the left-hand side. The Viper at the very least is getting something going his way. But it's gonna take a lot of catching up just to get on the same position Vinchester is on right now. Another castle on the way for Vinchester. Man, he's going at it, isn't he? And I mean, this seems to be the way. Let's get Grand Trunk Road on the way, Vinchester that is. So this will boost his gold income. Meanwhile, the Viper. What's the Viper doing? He seems to be moving some villages on the right-hand side. Doesn't seem like he'll be able to do too much over here anyway, though. What is he up to? I don't know. So good to see on the left-hand side for the Viper. That's going to kind of compensate for having lost the TC down the south, but we already have pressure coming in from Vinchester. The Viper's struggling. As you see, we'll basically just compensate for the fact that this one is going down very soon. And then up in the north, the raids from Vinchester are looking great. So now Vinch will get to the Imperialist. Will the Viper still have the will to keep on going? And it seems like he will. He's on his way to the Imperial Age himself as well, so he doesn't want to give up. He's got a good amount of villages over here, so he doesn't want to give up. The conversion's coming up now for the Viper as well. So far, Vinchester's looking great. Not only getting to the Imperial Age is going to give him access to heavy camels, but also access to treasures over here is absolutely instrumental for Vinchester, as now he'll be able to take the defenses from the Viper down. And there's another castle on the right-hand side coming up from Vinchester. He's got to be careful, as the Viper's got some light chai over there to potentially deny this one with. And down the south, the Viper goes for a castle over here to secure this part of his economy. Yeah, and there we go. The Viper realized about Vinchester. So Vinchester, is he going to delete the foundations again? He doesn't seem too keen on trying to go for unfinished castles still. But he's not deleting this one, no. He's not. Remind me after this game to enable mods too for the rest of the series. We don't have the Doubt Castle, we don't have the small trees mod, or the medium trees mod, rather. Need to fix that. Vinchester. Vinchester's got a third castle on the left. He's just finished researching Elite Gulam. Chain mail armor +2/+2 for Vinchester. He's got ballistics on the way. He's got Chattagny on the way. What is he? Yeah, the Viper calls a GG over here. Vinchester just kind of dominated this game. Well done. Well done. 2-1. Vinchester against the Viper. Taking the red player on the quadruple TC map over here like it's nothing. We'll take a look at game number 4. Match point already to see if Vinchester can seal the deal and knock the Viper down to the lower brackets, or if the Viper is gonna clutch it up and force a 5th game, a tiebreaker in the series. Going through the achievements then, what do we get? We'll see for military a 5-to-4 KD ratio for the Viper, exactly 5-to-4. For economy, we have also a stronger economy for Vinchester, as a matter of fact. So the Viper ended up getting a better KD over here, but because Vinchester managed to get thousands upon thousands of extra resources compared to the Viper, he more than compensated for the less than ideal KD. For society, we also see a higher worker max count for Vinchester, but in addition to that, I think both players lost about the same amount of workers, right? Vinchester ended up losing about 47 workers, while the Viper this game ended up losing about 41 actually, so pretty comparable. Pretty comparable, it's just that Vinchester had momentum. With his civilization, he saved resources for each villager he went for, and he did collect the most resources compared to, you know, from both these players. So of course, in the end, Vinchester gets to the Imperial Age earlier, and manages to seal the deal. Yeah, and once again, I'll need to wait for OBS to stop acting up. Let me check. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Let's go. Yes, it's all good. So game number 4 then. What do we get over here? What is it that we get in game number 4? Starting with the blue player on the left-hand side, we'll see the Vinchester playing with Franks will get free farm upgrades. He gets 15% faster working foragers, as well as 25% cheaper castles. Besides that, we also get for Franks 20% extra HP on... You know what? Actually, hold on. Completely forgot to enable mods. Before the game gets too deep into it, I'm just going to do it really quickly, and then we'll jump into it. Sorry, my bad. We need to use middle trees over here, medium trees, as opposed to small trees, or big trees. It's gonna be the best. Okay, got it. Sorry about that. Let's go for it. Just let me load the game up once again. All right, got it. Okay. Yes. We are lagging pretty severely once again. Freaking OBS, man. Come on. Get your act together. The weird thing is, it's taking 92% of GPU right now. Sometimes it's going to be only 60%. But it's still bugged, by the way. It shouldn't be more than 30%, but... Come on. Get out of here. And I am not really sure what's causing the bug. I thought it might have been stream effects, because it's still in alpha, but I already updated it in the latest version. You know, the latest version doesn't seem to fix it yet. Still. Sorry about the delays. We're just waiting for OBS to stop being such a resource hog, so we can actually cast, because take a look at this. Okay, there we go. It's fixed. Sorry about the delays, and welcome you guys, everyone, to game number 4 once again. Then we're gonna have the Viper in the red color, Vinchester in the blue color, and we see on the left-hand side the blue player playing with Franks. Talking about the civilization, we'll see for Franks 20% extra HP on a cavalry unit started in the Fuel Age, as well as a 25% discount on castles, 15% faster working berry, foragers, and free farm upgrades. For the team bonus, Franks will also have 2 extra line of sight on Nightland units. The Viper, playing with Hindustanis instead, will get 10, 15, 20, and 25% cheaper villagers, depending on the age, increasingly so towards the Imperial Age. And, in addition to that, we get 25% faster attacking camels, +1/+1 armor on gunpowder units, and for the team bonus, like cavalry, hussar, and camel units will get 2 bonus damage against buildings. This is once again for the quarterfinals. This is not technically group stage, so disregard this. This is just a knockout stage. This is the playoff stage, I guess. Technically, it's just that I forgot to update this since casting Warlords. But yeah, best of 5. Whoever loses gets knocked down to the lower bracket, and then you know, whoever wins moves on to the upper bracket semifinals. We have 4 series from the lower bracket, from players who lost in the round of 16, of course. And then we have 4 series from the quarterfinals. Now, next week, we're going to have 2 series from the upper bracket with both semifinals. And 2 series from the lower brackets, I think, right? No, it's going to be more than that, actually. Yeah, it's still going to be 4 series, I think. Yeah, basically the winners from the first round of the losers bracket will have to face the losers of the quarterfinals from the upper bracket. So yeah, we're still going to have 4 series. That's going to be 6 series overall next week. And we're going to start approaching, of course, the conclusion of the tournament. And I can't believe time just goes by so freaking fast. It wasn't just a few months ago that I was dreaming about Red Bull Legacy and what that tournament might be like. Then it actually arrived. It was 2 weeks of full excitement. It was great. And yeah. Now we are done with that. We are halfway through Double Cup 3. And oh my lord, I'm getting into my 30s already and life is so short. Freaking time passing so fast. But at the very least, we have each other. And we have H to contend with, right? Anyway, that just got too real too fast. Let's take a look at the map generation for both these guys, starting with Vinchester, the blue player, on the left-hand side. It seems like his map generation is not too bad. He does have 1 gold forward, which is not the best, but he does have 1 gold on the back over here. We will have golds on the back and stones on the back over here for both these guys, no matter what. It's just going to be kind of farther away. So this one could potentially have spawned a little bit closer to the TC. But it's no biggie, I guess, if he just ends up going for something like some walls from here to here, perhaps, maybe something like this and this. He would still be able to end up securing these resources anyway, so it's not too bad. We take a look at the upper base of Vinchester. This one does have a little bit of a closer gold overall. On the right-hand side, this is not the best, but this is significantly closer to his TC. And then he does have some on the back over here, as it's going to be the case, as we already discussed, for both players, no matter what. This one, I guess he could potentially try to secure by going for some walls from here to here, maybe from here to here, something like this would be good. But remember, once again, that players can actually build the walls on top of the rocky slope over here, so they could potentially just go for something like from here to here. And then also something similar from the center wood to the south wood and secure this area as well. For the Viper, on the other hand, it doesn't seem like we have hacks activated for the red player because he does have these golds kind of far away from the TC. The one in the north, the one on the left-hand side towards the south over here in the southernmost base of the Viper. But then, as discussed, we already have some extra resources on the back over here for both these guys, no matter what. That's going to be about it. While in the northern base of the Viper, it's looking probably a little bit better. He does have this. I guess this goal is going to be a little bit closer to the TC. This one on the back is fine. This one on the back is fine. Once again, they will need to go for some sort of walls in order to secure the stone or the gold miners over there, most likely. But it's fine. Hey, Arbase. Hi, welcome back. Hope you had fun playing your games. We are in game number 4 between Vinchester and the Viper for the 4th series of the day, right? Yes. Cast 1 from Warlords, and this is the 3rd series we're casting from Double Cup. And after this one, we'll be done for today, but tomorrow we're gonna have one more series coming up from Double Cup 3 after we finish covering the live sets from Warlords. And depending on how that one goes, we might end up covering the 2 remaining series from Double Cup 3 after we are done with Warlords.
Okay.
The series already decided. I had fun. Yeah. It's been a good one so far. I'm pretty curious as to what 4 quarters would have looked like from the player's point of view. Might have to look for that later. But anyway. I made Moonfall or cast it yesterday, is that so? Is Moonfall still using the annotations, by the way? I think the last time that I saw him use that was such a long time ago. He even put the logo on stream. Where's Nova? There's no rules about putting the logo up for this tournament, so that's why I didn't. But we can do that if you like. Where is it? Actually, I do not have the logo of the tournament, sorry. I need to download it. Was there a rule for the logo? I think there was. Well, Kyoto probably would have told me already. He's been on stream several times while we were casting the tournament. It's fine. I thought you had to. For this one, I don't think there is a rule for that. For Warlords, there is. Anyway, Castle is coming up for both these guys. The Viper is just going to straight fast Castle. Meanwhile, Vinchester did go for a few scouts over here. So far, he's not really been able to do too much. As a matter of fact, he's the only player who's lost a villager. I think that might have been to the scouts from the Viper. Yes. Castle is gonna be here for the Viper in just 1 second. There we go. Mubar's coming in. Fortune's coming up. Here comes Vinchester. Village scouts will still be very strong, man. He's got 3. He might be able to get a few villagers down over here if he plays his cards right, and he does find the villager pick. Might end up getting another villager down if he's able to spot the exposed economy, most likely. The TC coming up over here could come at a cost of a few villagers, but it seems like Vinchester will not realize about the TC coming up anytime soon, so it's coming up without a cost. Beyond just a resource cost. Left hand side, the Viper keeps on roaming around with his own scouts. So far, he's not really been able to do too much with these guys. 1 villager kill and 1 villager kill for Vinchester as well, so it's neck and neck for EcoKV. How are the Rex behaving so far today? It's fine because of the hotfix build. I was actually able to cast the first 2 games without using the preview build. Just fine, and then the 3rd game actually had a bug, and then I remembered that I needed to switch branches. And then we were able to finish casting the 3rd game. So I would say it's alright. For the time being, it's looking pretty good. 40C is coming out for the Viper on the back. Meanwhile, Vinchester's got the 30C on the way. Only now he's going for the Pikeman upgrade as well, even though... yeah, that's not going to be good for him to put any pressure with. He's just going to be defending himself with it. But he does have some knights on the way. He's got double stable production. So it should be good. But the Viper with camels should be fine as well, right? Yeah, he's going for plow lines. He's got some camels already. And it seems to me like he shouldn't really struggle against Vinchester too much. Any news on when players can get that patch? No, I don't think so. I have no idea. I think it's sometime... I think it'll be sometime this month, but that's just my speculation. Do the regs that I cast Monday work fine? Right. So yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I think probably sometime this month, most likely. Nice. Yeah, so far the game's pretty even, pretty uneventful for the most part. This Christmas we have made it so that you can watch record games without crashing. It's tier marketing. It's fine. I'm not really sure what they're gonna do for Christmas. But I wouldn't expect this to be a Christmas patch. That's way too long down the road, especially when there are tournaments happening all the time, community tournaments as well. The Pike was already thinking about joining the Viper before the Wallow started. Sometimes we get some very lucky RNG for the conversions. We had some of that last Sunday, I think, for Warlords. Now we get some for double cup, by the looks of it. In any case, Vinchester is going for a 4 castle. The Viper doesn't really have the resource to go for a counter castle himself. If he uses the market, he's gonna be able to buy one though. Yes! And the market's on the way from the Viper. He doesn't have a market! What? No way! The Viper? Guys! The Viper doesn't have a market! He cannot buy a castle! And this one's coming up from Vinchester. That's a beautiful castle location. Take a look at the range of this one. Vinchester with this castle takes the TC down. Both TCs down over here. And leaves the Viper completely unprotected on the right hand side. So he can keep on roaming around the Knights over here and keep on doing damage. Meanwhile, the Viper, he's got some camels, but the camels are completely out of position. He's bringing those from all the way up in the north. And he's already taken several losses over here. He's just been trying to play this one for the Imperial Age instead. You take a look at the resources. And he's been trying to get what he needs to go after the Imperial Age, while Vinchester has been the one putting the most pressure, of course. And now there's another castle on the way for Vinchester up in the north, the Viper. He can finally now go for the counter castle himself. However, the Vinchester's got a lot of pikemen over here. Could potentially try and go target Viper's villagers and try and prevent the castle from coming up. He also needs to defend himself over here. Let's take a look at the conversion to see if they connect. Yes. The Axeman gets converted. Several units over here join Viper's ranks. Vinchester is still going to get a castle up over here. There's just not going to be range in the TC from the Viper anymore. Because the red player is going after the Imperial Age, if he's able to hold on over here and stabilize. Once he gets to the Imperial Age, of course, he'll be the first player with access to trebuchets, potentially even war cannons. While Vinchester doesn't seem to have the resources, or anywhere near enough resources to go up to the Imperial Age, so just needs to keep on roaming around and putting pressure, trying to do enough damage over here to compensate for that. Here we are. Beautiful. Vinchester doesn't seem like he'll be able to do too much, so Viper's defense is pretty fantastic overall. Might end up losing this to C, might end up losing this to C, but he'll retain his worker lead. He's got a TC and a castle on the back down the south, so he's fine for the time being, and only about 20 seconds away from the Imperial Age. While Vinchester is probably about 30 seconds to a minute away from even having enough resources to click out to the Imperial Age, so he's gonna be significantly behind, of course. So this could be good for the Viper as he gets there. We'll see the trebuchets come up from both castles simultaneously. And then on the left-hand side, Viper's going for the counter raid. And this is huge. Vinchester was already behind the worker count. Now the Viper gets away with a bunch of kills over here. That's going to just exacerbate his villager lead over here. And it's going to make it more difficult for Vinchester to keep up. Many of the camels go down over here to the TC and get chased away by the pikemen. But still, the damage is done. And the Viper managed to get some villagers down. Get a 20 worker lead. And where are the trebuchets? There we go. We see the first trebuchets come out. The Viper's got one down the south, going after this castle. He's got one up in the north, going after this castle. So he's gonna try and trip both castles down. And Vinchester, I don't think he's got anywhere enough villagers over here to repair against 2 trebuchets worth of damage. So if the Viper plays his cards right, he should be able to get both these castles coming up. going back. He's really respecting the throwing axeman. The problem for the Viper is that he doesn't really have any villagers to garrison inside the TC, so he cannot really protect the trebuchet. So the throwing axeman end up dominating here. So he's just going to have pressure coming out from the north in the end. Here we are. This castle should be going down, and very soon, once the Viper gets another castle over here to protect the trebuchet with, should be able to take this castle down as well. So overall, things are looking favorable for the Viper, but Vinchester is not giving up on the castle yet. And it's only, yeah, he's getting to the Imperial Age now. He was a very short time from getting to the Imperial Age himself, and he does end up taking the TC down over here, so now he can go for his own trebuchet. He's got double trebuchet production, of course. The Viper's in 7 freaking trebuchets already. He's getting the castle down up in the north with double trebuchets. He's getting the castle down the middle over here with 3 trebuchets, and then down the south he's got 2 additional trebuchets to get this castle down with as well, which is fantastic. There we go, the castle crumbles from Vinchester. Up in the north and down in the south. And it seems like at the center too, in a moment. What are the trebuchets from the Viper? There we go. Yeah, I mean, that is not enough protection from Vinchester to keep the castle up, as the Viper takes the castle down over here with the next volley. Vinchester's castle crumbles. The blue player all of a sudden doesn't really have any fortifications for it to keep on putting pressure with. Just gonna be relying on military units, and he's got Cavalier now. He's got Blast Furnace coming up for +4 attack. On the Viper, on the other hand, he's got heavy camel riders, no Imperial camels just yet. But he's got some hand cannoneer coming out to take care of the pikemen as well. So this army composition is pretty good. It's very similar to what you see. Well, maybe not what you would see in Arena, because that'd be half the year. Right? In hand cannoneer, well, for Indians or for Hindustanis right now that is not possible anymore, but we get the anti-cavalry unit over here as opposed to pikemen, and we have a hand cannoneer to take care of anti-cavalry units from Vinchester. So the Viper is coming forward. Managed to stabilize the situation back home. Managed to push and ward off Vinchester's units. Vinchester's push. Now the Viper's looking great. He's got a higher military count, a higher population overall, a higher worker count, and he gets the raids going. A few villages going down over here around Vinchester's base. The Viper's looking absolutely great. There we go. And up in the north. Yeah, everything seems to point out at the Viper pushing Vinchester back and starting to suppress the blue player. Who's only now going for Halberdier, who's going now for Paladin, but again, seeing the standards shouldn't be too good. Especially as the Viper still hasn't even maximized his military route, right? He hasn't even reached his final form, and the Viper can still go for Imperial Camel. And that's going to make the Paladin pretty much useless. To be honest, even heavy Camel Riders are already making the Knights, the Cavalier, and the Paladin pretty useless. So with good unit control, Viper should be in a pretty good position now. If you take a look at the minimap, there is nothing blinking on Viper's side of the map. Instead, Vinchester is looking fantastic. Great play from Vipey. Also, Hindustan is broken. Hindustan is extremely strong, I will agree. I will agree with that. Pretty similar to what the Indians used to be back in the day when they were just introduced. They were so strong. And it seems like Vinchester will end up putting this up from the Viper, though. That's good. The numbers over here end up trumping the damage or the purpose of the units. We have more numbers for Vinchester, so he ends up taking the camels down eventually anyway. But there's a forward castle on the way for the Viper. He's bringing all the trebuchets forward. All 7 trebuchets over here. More hand cannoneer. Now Imperial Camel on the way for the Viper. This will be so difficult for Vinchester to hold on against. Viper's population so much higher as well, by 30 or so units. Getting very close to 200 population, while Vinchester, on the other hand, struggling to get past 160. As the Viper keeps on marching forward. This is gonna get destroyed. To one volley. Yeah, the treasure is over there. Bam! How satisfying is that to see? How often do you guys get to do this? Yeah, the Viper's just turning around and destroying everything with one volley from all the treasures. Fantastic. So he can go forward and he can go after the next couple TCs for sure. That would leave Vinchester's economy completely exposed. And if we take a look at how much Vinchester's got available over here for the Viper to take, that's 57 villagers to be protected by 2 TCs only. And very soon it's not even that, of course. Go. Yeah, I mean this is fantastic from the Viper. It's kind of struggling though with numbers. To be fair, the Halberdier over here from Vinchester are doing some good damage. So Viper gets pushed back over here. And Vinchester might end up taking a few extra treasures over there. That's going to be a lot of resources down the drain, of course. 400. For Trev. Do you know what Frank's do now? Vinchester's done a good job of keeping production going, but it's going to get harder and harder the more the Viper pushes, because many of the extra resources Vinchester is banking on will eventually run out, so he doesn't have access to this gold, for instance. If he gets pushed away, if this castle goes down, he does not get access to this gold anymore, and this one seems like it's going to run out very soon as well for the blue player. 1700 is not too bad, but it doesn't really represent too many extra paladins, right? And the same can be set up in the north, so it's very important for the Viper to keep pressure going. And if he ends up pushing Vinchester away from extra resources like he's done over here, he needs to take advantage of this too, so that he's able to keep sustaining his military production that he needs to keep the push going. Beautiful. 200 pops still for the Viper. Vinchester's getting close though. 180 himself. So that's good. But with good unit control, the Viper should have the better army composition over here. Can't take care of the Halberdier without too many issues with the Hand Cannoneer. And to be honest, might be able to take care of the Halberdier even with Imperial Camels alone. They are so strong. But of course, that will leave him kind of weak for fighting the Paladins off. So instead, let's take a look at that. The Hand Cannoneer on top of the hill over here. This is beautiful for the Viper. 200 population still. Vinchester struggling big time. Going down to 160 and even lower than that. The Paladins get completely pushed back. And the Halberdier gets shredded by the Hand Cannoneer. Down to smithereens. Vinchester doesn't really seem to have too much in terms of defense over here anymore. So he calls a GG. And the Viper gets game number 4 to get the equalizer over here and forcing a full series for us to rejoice. As we are getting a full series over here, we'll see who gets the decider, the 5th game. Let's take a look at the achievements really quickly before hopping back out. And we'll see, first off, a better than 3 to 2k the ratio for the Viper, which is great for economy. We have a stronger economy for the Viper, collecting about 2,000 extra resources. For society, a higher worker count for Vinchester. For the villager max count, but at the end of the game it was better for the Viper. That's going to be about it for this one, so let's just go back. Hey, it's working fine. Beautiful. So welcome you all to the final game of the series. Vinchester playing in the blue, Viper playing in the red. We have Rivelet, one of my absolute favorite maps ever. Not just from this tournament, but one of my favorite maps ever. Is just so well made. I have talked about this map several times in the past. I'm not going to bore you down and talk about the map concept, right? It's just very well executed, and you'll realize as we take a look at the map. You'll see the concept behind it. It's pretty clear. So the difference between this Revelet version and the Revelet that we saw in earlier tournaments is that this one is regicide actually. So we start with 3 kings, so it's kind of like a triumvirate. I think it's the name of it. Triumvirate, and you need to kill your opponent's kings to win the game, all 3. But you do not need to. You can also just win by conquest, obviously. It's just... more often than not, we're going to see players just give up before their kings go down, because they are in a position where they kind of keep on hold, and it's just like a standard game, right? But yeah, each player does begin with 3 TCs, 1 up in the north, and 1 at the center, and then 1 down the south, closer to the lake. And for the civilizations, we see the Vinchester is playing with Huns, while the Viper is playing with Gujaras. Now, that's a very interesting civilization choice for the Viper. Gujaras are a civilization that gets elephant archers. I don't know if that's something that the Viper's hoping to do, hoping to go after, is hoping to pursue against the potential for cavalry archers from Huns. Perhaps. But it's going to be pretty pricey, of course. And taking a look at the civilization, starting with Vinchester, Huns will get 100 less wood upon starting the game, but they will begin with 200 population support from the get-go. They get 10 and 20% cheaper cavalry archer units in the castle and imperial ages respectively, as well as 50% accuracy on trebuchets as opposed to 15%, and for the team bonus, 20% faster working stables. The Viper playing with Gujaras instead, and this is a very interesting civilization, will have the ability to garrison ships inside docks, and he's gonna have the ability to garrison herdables inside mills. Besides that, they begin with 2 extra foraging bushes that he's taking advantage of up in the north. Mounted units deal plus 40% bonus damage. And then for the team bonus, camel and elephant units created 25% faster, means that he should be able to train the units quite quickly. Especially for elephant archers, it could be really good, of course, and we'll see what we get in the end. For the time being, the guys are just utilizing the kings to go around, try to scout. That's the way you do it, because you do not start with the scout in this map. So you kind of have to make use of them, makes the kings a little bit more relevant. Hey, Tiwist! Hi, how are you doing? Good job today with man, by the way. I saw a little bit of it in between games. What happened in the end? After the first series, I waited until an admin decision was made about the second set. And then I left to cast Double Cup 3, so I'm not really sure what happened. I think you had a show match, right? Did you cast a show match as well? Was that good? Was it the best of 5? What was the show match like? Let me know. Regardless. Oh, this is not good. It's not good. The Viper's going underneath the TC over here. Doesn't seem like Vinchester's paying attention over there, though. So he kind of missing the chance of taking the king down. And then at the center over here, once again, the Viper's got to be careful, man. You don't want to go with your king underneath the TC. We already saw players be punished greatly for doing such things. We had a show match, Hera versus Yo. Same settings. Best of 5 as the rest. Was it good? I made the switch to Double Cup 3 right away because there are some sets that I still have to get through to catch up. But some of the series were kind of one-sided, and this one has definitely been the best so far. There we go, FOH is here for Vinchester already. The Viper is getting to the FOH in a moment. How many garrison herdables does he have? 10 at the center, nothing up in the north, and down the south. Oh, 10 at the south actually, nothing at the center, and nothing in the north. Okay. Still on the way for Vinchester, it's just gonna go up to the Castle Age. What I'm expecting to see from Vinch over here is just full cavalry archers. This is the way you go on this map with Hunts. So he needs the one stable so that he can get bloodlines, and obviously it's going to allow him to go up to the Castle Age after he gets the blacksmith as well as part of the requirement buildings. And the Viper, on the other hand, he gets to the Fuel Age. Doesn't seem to have the resources though to click out to the Castle Age. And what is the plan over here? He's just trying to go for full water control instead. As we see the Viper going for fire galleys, he's got 3 dogs compared to what I think is only 2 from Vinchester. Yes! 3 for the Viper, 2 for Vinchester. The Viper's putting pressure. Might end up getting full water control over here, while Vinchester on the other hand is going up to the Castle Age already, and the Viper's getting close to having enough resources. Not quite there yet. There we are. Hey Tiwas, by the way, I have a question about Warlords, about the maps. I think you were involved in balancing some of the maps, right? I'm really sure if you are the only guy tweaking the maps, but okay, wait a moment though. Nice reaction from the Viper, splitting the units up before he took the demo shot. Man, the red player is still, though, kind of stuck in the Fuel Age, not going out to the Castle Age anytime soon. And Vinchester, yeah, Vinchester is gonna be in the Castle Age very soon, and he's not really gotten pushed away from water yet. You did the maps? Alright. So the question was, given how Black Forest is usually utilized as a team game map, and given the importance of trading for Black Forest, have you considered adding a neutral market for that one, for the 1v1? Because it seems, with how easy, well, quote unquote easy, but with how like 90% of these games go in Black Forest, where the players just wall the center and go for post-imp army compositions before actually engaging, the goal doesn't really last too long, so it turns into a trash fest eventually. So I'm pretty curious about that. Have you considered adding maybe the possibility for players to still trade, perhaps with some neutral markets? I would imagine I am not the first one to bring that up, so I would imagine there's probably already a reason why it's not being done. Didn't want to do that for Warlords, wanted to keep them very similar to the classic maps. Right, okay. Alright. So wanted to keep the map standard for the most part. Alright. Let's see. Vinchester gets to the Castle Age, is gonna start going for the cavalry archers. How many archer ranges do we have? 4 archer ranges, let's go! There we are. Michael will probably make it last 6+ hours until it runs out of wood. Let's see. Perhaps there is definitely a risk of having the games last too long because of it then. Beautiful defense for the Viper. Watchtower coming up. Still though, a minute away from the Castle Age. And Vinchester? Vinchester's got the same worker count compared to the Viper. This is not too bad. Not too bad at all. Might end up getting a few villages down over there. Good unit control for the Viper. We'll still end up losing the villages over here. And Vinchester's gotten ballistics already, so that's great. And it's thumb ring for these guys to be 100% accurate, even against moving targets. But even without thumb ring, even without thumb ring, ballistics is already going to make these so much deadlier, especially when shooting at long range. Several raids coming out from Vinchester around the map. There we go. 2, 3 villages going down from the Viper. Fantastic. And Vinchester's gonna keep on roaming around. Now he's trying to group his army up. Notice how important it is to keep a good amount of cavalry archers together as well, so you're able to even defend yourself against high pierce armor units or units with agility, such as the Shrivansh Rider. The only unit with agility, but if you keep your cavalry archers together, then that kind of minimizes the potential for damage from enemy units, as eventually they run out of agility and you can one-shot each unit. If you are up against knights and you get to 30 cavalry archers, you can one-shot knights as well, even with chain barden armor. Assuming that you get 100% accuracy that Vinchester now got by getting thumb rings, so that helps quite a bit too. So far so good for the blue player. Now the Viper's trying to go around. He's got 3 Shrivansh Riders, while Vinchester is roaming around with 30 cavalry archers. Holy moly, 25, not 30. Still a lot though, still enough to take the villagers down. Over here is not going to be even close. And as the Viper gets kind of forced to fight against units in a choke point over here, he ends up losing the units anyway. It was that, or trying to delete the buildings, and that would have been a lot of losses for him anyway. And Vinchester's looking great. You know, I think the Viper's got 2 kings down the south, right? Or did he lose one of the kings already? Where are the kings? Did we see a king go down? Yes! We saw a king go down from the Viper over here, actually. Yeah, he completely forgot about it. So he lost it. Now he's got 2 kings left. This one is completely out garrisoned though. Not even in the tower, man. And there's a castle coming up for the Viper. I guess ideally he might want to send the kings over to the castle to garrison over there, but because Vinchester's got almost enough resources to go up to the Imperial Age already, he's most likely not gonna get to the Imperial Age pretty soon. And well, Huns do not get access to bombard cannons, so I guess it's going to take some time until Vinchester gets a castle up so that he can go for trebuchets and potentially take this one down from the Viper. But it will be the first one to the Imperial Age by quite a lot. And he's starting to collect some stone once again, so it seems like he will be able to go for a castle in the end. Well, the Viper is nowhere near having enough resources to click up to the Imperial Age. He cannot see it on the horizon. It's not happening. Not anytime soon. And Vinchester will keep on roaming around. He's gotten up to almost 50 cavalry archers. It's a 120 population, you know, 120 worker count actually, you know. So if he ends up getting 200 population with full military production over here, it's going to end up on 70 or so cavalry archers. That's going to be more than enough for him to go for 35 cavalry archer groups around the map to keep on raiding around the Viper and still be able to hold on just fine against 3 Vampire Riders, be able to hold on just fine against even Nightland units as well. But of course, the Viper is just going to make use of 3 Vampire Riders instead, and doesn't seem like Vinchester is going to have to worry about this too much. Prospect for a demolition shot over there was not too good, and I think I see a king somewhere. I think I see a king somewhere here, and I think Vinchester doesn't. Yeah. King gets garrison right now. The Viper realizes, but this castle is getting denied. Viper's going up to the Imperial Age. I think he had to abuse the market quite a bit, right? Wow, he actually didn't have to. Players already have gotten to such strong economies that they can just save the resources in a minute. Just a minute ago, it seemed as if the Viper wouldn't go up to the Imperial Age anytime soon, and now he's on his way. But Vinchester's gonna be there in a moment. One thing that's still kind of hurting for the blue player is the lack of a castle, but he does have some villagers moving forward. It seems like he's gonna try to go for one over here. Behind the river, I would say. Well, he's gotta be careful. Yeah, behind the river is definitely the way to go. For the bull player. Probably, yeah, try to get a castle up over here is gonna be good. And with this one, of course, you'll be able to go for some traps. Try to take the castle down on the Viper. Prevent him from being able to garrison the kings in the castle, and then just have TCs to worry about. Now, this is not the best unit control for Vinchester, mind you. He's not even going to try and get some quick walls up over here. Instead, down the south, we see the cavalry archers, and now these are heavy cavalry archers with Parthian tactics. Bracers coming up. These will be completely upgraded. He's going after the TC with the cavalry archers. What? But he's already gotten a lot of HP off the TC over here, and I think he's going to go after the kings right away. Up in the north, he was trying to go after this one as well. It's going to be a little bit too difficult. And the king was not in that one anyway. But he's going after this one, and check this out, guys. Vinchester will destroy the TC over here, and as the TC's HP goes down, pop goes the weasel. And there we go. We still have the tower up with the king over here. Quite clearly, it shouldn't be enough, of course, and the tower's eventually going to go down as well. The king's eventually going to go down as well. Let's take a look at this. That's heavy cavalry archers against Revenge Riders. Their agility is coming in clutch over here for the Viper's units. As he gets to the Imperial H, it's a 120 or so population compared to 182 for the Viper and Vinchester. Yeah, and there we go. He's hunting for the king. He's hunting for the king. He was trying to go for the castle forward. Vinchester could not get this one up, but he did manage to get this castle up, so he's gonna try to go after the castle with his own trebuchets in a moment. Meanwhile, there goes the king. Only one left for the Viper. And the question here is, with this game looking as one-sided as it is, and given the fact that Vinchester is most likely than not going to end up taking this game no matter what, will the Viper give Vinchester the pleasure? Will he give Vinchester the satisfaction of taking the king down? He won't! The Viper calls GG over here, and Vinchester moves on to the semifinals in the upper bracket of Double Cup 3 after taking the Viper down with a final score of 3-2. The Viper gets knocked down to the losers bracket, while Vinchester will move on to the next round. Let's go through the achievements. And what an incredible performance from Vinchester in the series. Better than 5 to 4 kid ratio for the bull player. We see for economy a stronger economy for Vinchester as well, collecting about 13,000 extra resources. Society also shows a higher worker max count for Vinchester. And overall things are looking fantastic for the bull player. Well played. As now moving on, the Viper gets knocked down.